Hey, it's got to be quick, so let's hit the intro real. How come I can never find it? Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Roto Hackers Podcast. My name is Judah Buddha. I'm here with AJ Herschel, the man, and it's Jared. It's Jared. That's too high for me.
Whoa,
Okay, so
we got a second part to that tonight. Let's go.
It's because I just saw the commercial and I thought of Jared. So let's get going. What did you guys think of this week? How did you do? Are you as sick of fantasy football as I am at this point? I'm like over it. I'm over it. This is some of the weirdest games.
This has got to be this. Oh, sorry. You go first.
No. You were already into it. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it probably doesn't help the fact that this week was maybe the worst week of football we've just ever had. Almost every game was just so bad to me. There was the Chiefs game was just disgusting. Jordan Love couldn't do anything. 3 muffed punts. The Bears-Chiefs game is the worst officiated game I've ever seen in my life. And I normally hate saying that, but it was. Titans-Rams was terrible because almost all the Titans points were scored by their defense. And then everything else was like either a blowout or a Texans-Dolphins game. If it wasn't for the Ravens-Vikings game, this might have been the worst week of football to watch ever. So that didn't help my football mood.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like too many things stacking up. Injuries, apocalypse a few weeks ago, more injuries. Last week I had just a terrible week. This week I actually did okay, surprisingly. But it was just awful football this week. So yeah, I'm actually right there with you. Just like if this was, I'd be much happier if this was like week 14 or 15 as opposed to week 10.
Yeah. I don't know what it is. This year just doesn't seem. I think you guys both sort of hit it on the head. Or hit it indirectly by what you guys are both saying. There's an inconsistency with the season that just doesn't make it. It takes the joy away from it, right? I mean, sure, it's nice to have some surprises, but it's so random these days for fantasy, and even for football, for NFL. The surprise. I don't know. It does add some excitement. But for fantasy, it's not the good excitement. It's the kind of excitement where you look at your roster and like, oh, okay, good. They didn't play him. Nice.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I lost and I could have won in the league I'm in with the other league I'm in with Judah, where I forgot, I only have DeAndre Hopkins in one league and I forgot to sub him out, and so I lost by like 6 points, and so if I had put somebody else in there, I could have won. I felt that. I don't have him anywhere else, and I forget that I even have him, so I just forgot about that.
And in a cruel twist of fate for me, I don't know if you guys watched any of the Bears Steelers game.
Yeah.
I did.
It was horrible.
Mooney to the Mooney.
Yeah, but the worst part is that the fact that we still lost didn't help. Yeah. And then the fact that our defense made it so close initially by scoring a touchdown lost me a fantasy game. So not only did I lose a game, I also got to watch my team lose because of garbage officiating, terrible defense, and my life right now as a Bears fan is literally that line from Endgame where he just says, "Don't give me hope." That is literally my football life the last few weeks.
Well, the officiating was apparently so bad. I saw.
Oh, you muted yourself.
You muted yourself. There. Yep. Oh, your mic's not connected.
Oh yeah, yeah. You did kind of do a little abrupt move there that probably jerked it out.
We need a technical difficulties.
I will lip read. I will do lip reading and translate for Judah. I was really looking forward to that.
I should have gone with it. Dang it. It's my opportunity. Or maybe we are lip reading right now. So the officiating was so bad that I saw several like people that I wouldn't normally think, they're usually pro or like, come on guys, let's not blame it on the refs. Mm-hmm. Totally ragging on the refs.
Yeah.
Totally saying that the refs are destroying football right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was one of those games where I'm sitting there going like, are some of these just rigged? Do the officials have a bet in on this? Because I mean the calls were so bad. It was almost as bad as when we had the strike and the replacement officials.
It's bad.
I don't remember that. There was a strike in the Oh yes,
yeah. Where you had the iconic Seattle Green Bay game where they threw the touchdown at the end, and you had one referee. They had that photo of one referee signaling incomplete pass and one referee signaling signaling interception, and the other referee signaling touchdown. And that was when that was the thing that sparked the NFL to be like, oh crap, yeah, okay, we've got to pay these people, otherwise people are just gonna stop watching, because it is to the level of stop watching because it's so bad.
Which is kind of what's happening, I feel like, with all sports. I mean, I know this is totally different, but like the NBA, everybody hates those refs now at this point. MLB, I mean, now that we even have that little box just on the screen to show where the strike is, now everyone they do miss just infuriates everybody. It's just like, it's just umpire unappreciation year or something. I don't know, but it's been a rough year for sports.
And the NFL has made it worse with the taunting penalty.
Yeah.
The taunting penalty. It's so subjective, and you can take the slightest little thing that again, you're just adding in so much power for an official. It just seems like you're just inviting corruption with that because it's so subjective, and roughing the passer just keeps getting worse too. There was that Rams Titans game. Literally like a two-hand touch is now roughing the passer, because there was a Rams player, I think, that pushed it, Tannehill as he was sort of going out of bounds and just barely tapped him. It was like a two-hand touch, and that was roughing the passer.
Yeah.
So speaking of no, not Tannehill. Oh yeah, I was thinking of Tannehill, but I was actually thinking Stafford. Was Stafford injured in the game with the Rams?
Do you mean did he go in? I don't know if he went in injured or got injured or wasn't injured. I don't know.
Because I got like 5 or 6 points from him, I think.
Yeah, he finished with 15. But
okay.
Yeah, but he did. I remember it popped up today that he's questionable. I think he tweaked his ankle sometime mid-game, but I think he should be okay, especially since they have till Monday. But
yeah, I don't know if that really encourages me though. Him playing hurt.
Well, at least it's not his hand this time, or his finger, or his back, or his wrist.
Both.
Yeah,
or all three. All right. Well.
And not only, I was going to close out with one other thing, saying, not only was it just bad football, but we really don't have, like, there's no team this year that you can count on as like, oh, that's a really good team, and that they're clearly headed towards the Super Bowl. I mean, like every team has looked horrible at some point,
Yeah.
Which is sad because with this much parity, you think it'd kind of be fun, because it creates that sense of who's gonna go like the AFC like the AFC North. Steelers pull out games every now and then. Since he wins by offense, the Browns have like half of their team gone and they still win games. And the Ravens just decide not to play in the first half, and then the fourth quarter they score 35 points every single game. Like that's fun. And then you watch the Rams-Titans game and it's bad. And then you watch the Thursday night Cardinals-Packers game and it's bad. And then you watch Chiefs-Packers and it just gets progressively worse. It seems like they're tired. I don't know what it is, but it seems like everybody's just exhausted and just kind of done so far.
They're mimicking our energy.
Yeah.
Or are we mimicking theirs?
Maybe.
So we've got Justin is joining us. Thanks for joining us, Justin. Back again. He says, "What is Stafford's status? Should I pick up a backup QB or no? I have one. I'm playing Wentz. Who are some backup QBs you would pick up, guys?"
Yeah, I mean, if Wentz is available, he's 60% rostered, so there's a pretty good chance he's available in your league.
Justin Fields. Would you pick up Justin Fields?
That still feels.
Who are we playing this week? I can't remember.
The Vikings.
He's on a bye. He's on a bye.
Okay, yeah.
So
there we go. I was like, wait a second.
No.
So
you could potentially pick him up for later in the season, but no, you can't use him for this week. Don't pick up. I wouldn't recommend Ben Roethlisberger after what I saw.
He does get Detroit. To be fair,
he does. But
I have seen him on a lot of people's waiver wire lists.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a thin group on the waiver wire at this point.
Because even more so since quarterbacks have been so good, people are having two quarterbacks on their roster, like Dak or Sam Darnold or Brady and Daniel Jones for a bye week or something. Their quarterbacks are getting hoarded now everywhere.
Yeah, I would say maybe my other recommendation would be, sometimes now I think it's gotten thin enough that you kind of have to play matchups. And last week I started Teddy Bridgewater against Dallas, and that actually worked out pretty well, as I don't know what the Cowboys were even doing. And Matt Ryan gets him this week, and I know we've got Matt Ryan not only without Julio Jones, who was traded, but now without Calvin Ridley. But Matt Ryan, 4 out of the last 5 weeks has been really good, and he gets the Dallas team that Teddy Bridgewater just did well against. So Matt Ryan might be my other recommendation.
Yeah.
Well, that's good for picking up a quarterback. What he says, should I pick up Madison instead of a backup? I'm not loving Madison right now. There is that.
Are you a Cook? Do you have Dalvin Cook?
Yeah, if you have Dalvin Cook, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. And he does say Wentz is there, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, but he says he wants to wait to see if Stafford plays, but I don't know that you're going to find a better option on your waiver wire. So, I mean, Wentz has a good matchup with Jacksonville.
I like Wentz.
Yeah,
and I would not go
tough
Jimmy
one because Stafford does get the 49ers, which have been pretty friendly to the pass, but I would kind of wait. I mean, I know I would wait and see kind of how things are trending, and you can kind of see if Stafford practices throughout the week or not, and then kind of make your decision there. But I mean, Wentz has had 3 straight games at 20+ points, so he gets Jacksonville, so.
Okay, well, what about, do you guys have any good ones for a running back? Is anybody picking up or buying in on Ty Johnson for the New York Jets?
Dude, look. Ty Johnson has sat on my bench for the last 4-5 weeks in our listener league in Roto Hackers, and he's put up 10 points in 4 straight games. I don't buy it for a second. This is the luckiest man for fantasy in the history of the world. I don't understand how he gets his touchdowns. I don't know where he gets his touchdowns. I don't understand what is going on with New York, especially when he fumbles and then scores a touchdown against Indianapolis on 3 targets. And he's playing Buffalo, so that doesn't help either. But, I mean, there are worse people. There are definitely worse people to pick up. So,
quick question. I saw the news about Dalvin Cook.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't seem to be there. He's got a claim of abuse against it. He's the victim, right? So what does that have to do with football? I saw everybody was posting about it. I was like, this is irrelevant, right? Like,
well, the big thing is that if this does end up like being true and this goes, down the road of the court case or whatever, this could end up getting put on the commissioner's exempt list, like Antonio Brown before when he had a whole bunch of trouble and everything. So that's what people are worried about, that he's just going to sit on your roster for weeks because we don't know what's going on. Like, that's the biggest question with Dalvin Cook right now.
Okay. He's now the guy who did it. I don't get it. Oh, did it flip on him?
No, so he was accused of what was it? Of assault, I think, and then he's saying, no, I was the one who was assaulted in the relationship here. So the woman is actually filed the lawsuit, but he hasn't countersued, but he's saying back, no, it's the other way around. That it's basically he said, she said at this point. He said, she said at this point. Especially since this broke like a couple hours ago, so we don't have that many facts or anything yet. So,
okay, I definitely don't want to get into the sordid details, but it is, I think, relevant, and we need to know the facts. Let's see, real quick: Titans or Denver defense? Who do you guys got? Titans are playing
Saints.
Yeah,
I would go. Broncos probably have more likely to get turnovers against the Eagles. I don't know what the Rams were doing. I feel like the Saints-Titans game could just be an ugly game. I like Denver just because I like their defense. They're well coached. I say Denver, but it's tough.
So the Titans, I'm just noticing, like, all of a sudden are putting up points as a defense. Like, not. I mean, really, it's based on touchdowns, which is not really sustainable. They're only 12% rostered. They've had a defensive touchdown in 3 of the last 5 games. I think they had and then the Kansas City game, they held Kansas City to 3 points, had a ton of sacks and turnovers. So Tennessee's been on sort of a roll. New Orleans, though, tends to limit the fantasy points they give up to team defenses. But at the same time, Tennessee gets Houston in 2 weeks too. So sometimes I look at stuff like that as the decider of if there's no clear winner,
keep going further.
Yeah, keep going further. Whereas Tennessee gets Houston the following week, whereas Denver is on a bye, so you can't use them at all. So might actually roll the dice on Tennessee if you're looking for a defense for multiple weeks. Now, if you just need a plug-in, that makes it a little tougher decision. But.
Interesting, yeah. I think either it may just be roll of dice. I like your going a step further to see who who's next. Anthony says, is Mike Williams a boom or bust flex again?
Yeah.
He's had 4 games with at least 22 fantasy points and 4 games with at least fewer than 8 fantasy points. Even Tyler Lockett thinks that's inconsistent. Oh, Tyler
That's good.
Lockett's getting in on this.
That's good.
Yeah, I as someone with a lot of stock in Mike Williams, this has been very disappointing.
Yeah.
So I hope that a couple of games was just a fluke, but now, it's looking like at the very least he's going to be boom or bust. Lately, it's just been a lot of bust. So
yeah.
All right. Well, let's turn to the waiver wire one more time. Do you guys have any desire to pick up Deonte Foreman for the Tennessee Titans? He had a bit of a game.
I feel like we mentioned Deonte Foreman every single year. Like, he pops up once every single year on some team, like the Texans and the Titans and who else? Not particularly, I'm going to be honest. I would be much more inclined if I needed to get a running back to go get like Gainwell or Brandon Bolden or something like that. And what's his name? Devonta Freeman, another Anta.
Right.
That would probably
22% owned and has an eerie nose for touchdowns, and I trust him a little more than Ty Johnson. Why? Because the Ravens run the football better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think fear with that, though, is that maybe it was just his week and in the rotation, if you know what I mean.
That's every Ravens running back.
But at the same, I mean, he did get, his biggest total of carries so far. However, Freeman's had 11 plus points for 3 straight weeks. So he's getting goal line carries for touchdowns. And there's just a limited amount of, running backs out there. So yeah, I think considering how little's out there, he's probably worth a shot. Another one that has been getting dropped a lot lately and is probably worth another pickup is Ernest Johnson, who Nick Chubb just went on the COVID list, tested positive.
Really?
Yeah. So he's looking now unlikely for Sunday after coming back, for a couple of weeks after missing a couple of weeks. Now he's probably going to be out again. So it's not a great matchup. It's at New England, and New England tends to be kind of tough on the run. But again, limited running back options on the waiver wire. So Ernest Johnson is somebody I would look at there too.
Well, you are a Colts fan. Of course, this is partly a Colts show because of you. Jared, would you be picking up any of the backup running back, Nyheim Hines?
Yeah, actually, I think if your situation is if you're a little bit more desperate, you could take a shot on that. I mean, it's Jacksonville. I don't know what that game is going to look like, but he hasn't done much. He didn't do much for about 5 weeks straight, and then he came back with 18 plus points against the Jets. Now, part of that, Jonathan Taylor got banged up for a little while and he was out. So I mean,
he was doing really well even before he got banged up.
Yeah, but you just can't count on the volume being there at all for Nyheim Hines. So you're definitely risking boom bust there.
Yeah.
I would be more inclined, to play someone like Devonta Freeman or Ernest Johnson over Nyheim Hines. But if you're desperate and you want to take a swing on a guy who can get you 15 to 20 points if he gets the carries, I like Hines too.
Do you guys have any running backs to throw into the mix? Or you had one, Jared. What about you, AJ?
Like I said, Bolden and
Bolden,
Freeman. Yeah, Bolden and Freeman.
So what about, speaking of Bolden, what about Randre Stevenson?
This is like the 7th time he's been mentioned in one of our episodes at this point.
He's injured though, right? And that's why
he's questionable. Yeah.
I think Bolden's a good pick. I think he may. I mean, I've been mentioning him left and right, and he hasn't done much. So he probably continued to not do much. But I don't know. I like him.
Yeah, we'll see.
I feel bad for who is it? Was it Justin that was? I'm sorry. I was just looking at this trade Lamb.
There's two. There's he's got 2 options for the trade here.
Oh, okay. Trade DK and Hunt for Barkley and Deonte. PPR, I need RB. Or trade Lamb, Carter, Hunt for Woods and Barkley. So I don't know if it wasn't James, but it may have been Justin that was like worried about, or maybe it was, anyways, worried about Lamb, and they had good reason to worry. Lamb did very little.
Yeah, the Cowboys did very little this weekend.
That is true. That is true.
Another running back is who's resurrected yet again is Jordan Howard. Who had who followed up his 17.7 week against Detroit with a 13.1 peak performance against the Chargers. He had led with 17 carries, 71 yards, and a touchdown. And it's looking like maybe he's, he greatly outperformed Boston Scott, who only had 10 carries for 40 yards by comparison. So it's looking like Jordan Howard is the back to own, not Boston Scott.
Yeah, thanks a lot, NFL.
Or maybe we just accept it for what it is, and we never start an Eagles running back again.
Yeah,
just a proposition.
If you don't have to, sure.
If you don't have to.
No, even if you do have to, maybe don't.
So James Zoo is trying to what's his name? Trying to get Barkley. I'm not sure I would be. I like getting Deonte, but he really needs a running back.
Yeah.
Maybe he would be just getting a bowl of anxiety with Barkley, I mean, I'd rather have Carter at this point.
Well, he's trading away I think I get trading DK and Hunt for Barkley and Deonte, because at least with Deonte, he hasn't been getting as many targets as he normally does. But granted, last week he played Chicago, and before that he was banged up. But Barkley, even if you need a running back, it's not going to help you this week, because correct me if I'm wrong, the Giants are on bye this week, right? I'm pretty sure that they are. Yes, they are. So the Giants are on bye this week. So that's not going to help you this week. When does Hunt get back? We're not sure. There's rumors that he could get activated soon with Chubb going on the COVID list, which he could still come off. He could still come off the COVID list if he tests negative multiple times before we hit Sunday. So he could be cleared to play. But I feel like I'd rather do the first one than the second one, because Deonte is a better PPR player, at least than Metcalf in general. Hunt may be out for multiple weeks down the road, and Barkley, at least you have a chance of getting something in the next 2. And like you said, Michael Carter is like a plug and play. I need a running back right now, so I wouldn't want to give him up.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to give him up. Okay, do you guys have any tight ends or wide receivers? Wait a minute. I got
Trilly Seb. Thanks for tuning in.
Trilly Seb for Waller and Mike Williams. Diggs and Mark Andrews. I don't want any of them. Waller is nice. I think Waller is solid, right? You'd rather have Waller of all these players. Wouldn't you rather have Waller?
Jared, you're the Mark Andrews guy. What do you think?
I mean, if Waller kind of comes back to what he's been in past seasons, but he finally put up another double-digit point game.
Took him long enough.
Got double-digit targets, but he's not really having a Waller-like season. I mean, through 8 games, he's had one of those games. He had a 20 opening week. He had 19 targets, 105 yards and touchdown.
Yeah.
I think the way Mike Williams is trending, that would be hard for me. The way Mike Williams is trending and the fact that Waller's not really having a Waller-like season, I think Stephon Diggs, even though he's not been great, I don't know. He's at least getting in. He's been the most consistent of those players at the very least. And right now, the way Mike Williams is looking, right now, I would prefer the consistency of Diggs. And right now, Waller's just not being compelling enough over Mark Andrews for me.
Yeah. And I agree with that, partially because if you look at Andrews and Waller, Andrews, A, he's getting more points, and B, he's getting targets. I think it's 2 out of his last 3 weeks. He's had 10 and 13 targets, and 2 of his last 3 or 3 of his last 4. And Lamar loves throwing it to him. And sure, Waller might be looking better with the Raiders receiving core slowly, dissipating away. But yeah, Mike Williams is becoming boomer bust, like you said. And as a Diggs, let me rephrase that, a disgruntled Diggs player, I think I'd rather have Mark Andrews' decently solid floor and really good ceiling with Diggs. Honestly, I think I'd have that.
Yeah. The rate that might be the one caveat to that trade is that at the rate we're going, it's going to be like Derek Carr and Darren Waller on the field by the end of the season for the Raiders. Yeah. Just no one else is going to be there left.
Hey, real quick, none of the teams we suggested for Odell Beckham, neither me nor you, seems to be in the pool that he is headed for. Apparently, Seahawks and the Packers are the top 2 teams. I think you did mention the Packers.
I mentioned the Packers. Yeah,
you did mention the Packers, but that was more like, yeah, right. But it looks like he really wants to go to the Packers.
I mean, I think that's one of the ones that makes the most sense for him. He needs to be on it. He's one of those guys that the planets have to align for him to be happy. He needs to be on a winning team. He needs to be with a great quarterback. He needs to be getting thrown the ball a whole lot.
Yeah.
If any one of those things plus some other stuff don't line up, then you're not gonna get a very productive OBJ.
I can't see him on the Packers. I would love to have him on the Packers as a Packers fan and an OBJ fan. I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I just don't see it working. I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually see him more on the Seahawks. I can see that happening.
That'd be a weird trio. DK, Lockett, and Odell. That'd be so weird.
Yeah, and that I don't think wouldn't work out well because they're not really letting Russell Wilson just turn loose this season. Green Bay Green Bay would just make so much more sense. And I mean, even if Odell is a disruption, Aaron Rodgers would probably welcome that right now. Like, yeah, sure, you be the disruption, So the Packers just make too much sense. That's where he should go. That's where he should go.
All right, let's make it happen, Odell. Also, I have Josh Allen, so that stacks with Diggs, and Allen should be good. Allen? Who's Allen?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Who just lost this week to Josh Allen, but
what? Allen lost to Josh Allen?
Of the Jaguars, the linebacker, Josh Allen.
Oh, yeah. You're confusing my tired brain. Thoughts on Tony rest of season? I don't know. He's got a lot of skill, but he's on a terrible team, garbage team.
Yeah.
I hate that team.
I think we've brought up enough that you just cannot trust a Giants receiver at all this year. No matter who it is.
No. I mean, even to play, like you don't even know if they're going to play week to week,
Literally.
Or if they play, I mean, we played this week. I didn't see him on the field at all. He was supposed to be there.
Yeah, he had one target, and he caught his one target for 9 yards. After 5 weeks ago, catching 10 of 13 targets for 189 yards. So, since
welcome to the new NFL.
Yeah.
All right, last waiver wire. What do you guys think of picking up Muth? The Friar Muth.
Yeah.
Meister. You mentioned him last week to pick him up. People should have listened to you in the start sit. I hope whoever asked that question listened to you about picking up Friar Muth. He did amazing. 2 touchdowns and 80 yards. I think all-purpose yards. Had a huge game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's only 42% rostered, so he's still out there a good bit. That Pittsburgh offense is garbage. He's not going to get a ton of yards, but I mean, he's benefiting from the fact that Ben can't throw the ball down the field, so he's got to throw it basically to Najee or to Pat. I'm just going to call him Pat. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name.
Oh, the Muth.
Yeah. So he's got to throw it to one of those guys, because then otherwise it's just him, or he can dump it off behind the line of scrimmage to Deonte or Claypool or something, because otherwise he's just kind of throwing the ball in the vicinity of Deonte and hoping that, Deonte can go track it down, So yeah. Pat is kind of benefiting from, and Pat and Najee Harris are benefiting from garbage Ben Roethlisberger, who is like, I mean, it's like having Mason, what's his name in there? Mason Rudolph, or that guy Duck Hodges.
Devlin Hodges.
Yeah, it's like when they had them in there where they have to run some sort of trick offense to even move the ball at all, because the quarterback is just so bad. They waited too long on Ben. Ben, this for sure 1000% needs to be Ben's last season. They need to move on from Ben.
Yes. Get him out. Move on.
Because he's been has-been.
He has. That was the most painful game to watch last night, and a lot of it was because of Ben. So, But in the meantime, Pat the tight end needs to be rostered.
Yeah, get him on your roster. Last 2 questions, then we head out because we're all tired. It's time to go. But should I drop AP or Tony? I mean, if you have to drop somebody and and everybody else is a superstar, I think I'd drop Tony. What would you guys do?
You can't count on what he's going to do. You don't know who's going to be in there. AP, you might get a couple of months of AP being a serviceable RB3 or something,
Yeah. And I mean, especially with running back situation, as bad as it is right now, I'd keep Peterson.
You'd what?
I'd keep Peterson.
Oh, AP. Oh, Peterson. Oh, yeah. I was thinking AB, but Peterson. Well, thanks for joining us, by the way, Griffin Stigman or Steigman. Sorry. All right. Does KC turn it around, or have teams figured them out? Don't know what's going on there. Mahomes doesn't look right. I mean,
also hold
on
a second. Griffin just brought up that he's picking up Chris Carson. Somebody in his league dropped Chris Carson, and he's getting him for Kadarius Toney. That is a nice switch.
Yeah, assuming Carson comes back.
Yeah.
Do it! Come on! Do it now!
Yeah.
I think he is coming back from what I've read.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for. Oh, what do you guys think about KC? What are we doing about KC?
I did not draft Patrick Mahomes anywhere for that price.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't know what the deal is. You're right. He doesn't look right. I'm not sure what it is. If they've all figured him out and they're limiting, those big plays now or what. Travis Kelsey, though, I have a few shares of Travis Kelsey, and Travis Kelsey is not having a Travis Kelsey like year. He had a better game this week.
Well, yeah, he had like double digits finally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but mostly he's had a down year. Yeah, there's no real reason for Kansas City to be doing seemingly as poorly. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Travis Kelsey. You just put some decent players around that, and how do you not score a bunch of points?
You know what it feels like to me, and this is weird, and I don't think this is really what's going on, but what it kind of feels like to me is they got tired of doing it the way they were doing it. They got tired of winning the way they were winning, and they're trying, and they just don't want to go back to that way, throwing it deep, hitting the same people over and over again, and they stopped winning. They stopped. It just feels like, well, you know what? We're going to try doing it kind of some quirky ways, and it turned into a disaster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the other thing is, and I said this to a lot of my friends as soon as the Super Bowl ended, I said, the Chiefs are going to have a tough time because the Bucs figured out how to stop Tyreek Hill, and that's playing two deep safeties, so you can't throw it over the top. And the other thing I think has killed Kansas City is the fact that since CEH has been injured, they have had no run game. And as rough of a start as CEH to a season had, he steadily started getting better, especially in terms of fantasy points, as the weeks went on. And then as he goes out, what's been happening? Obliterated by the Titans. Darrell Williams gets 5 carries in a game. They can barely beat the Giants. They can't run the football right now. So I think that's been another problem with the Chiefs is that last year, what was their problem down the stretch? They couldn't run the football. What's their problem now? They still can't run the football.
That's a good point. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
They cannot establish the run. All right. Finally, Anthony says, out of the 12 Drew Vano has the only – and me too. I'm in only 6 or 7 leagues, and he is the only undefeated team I have seen all season or still this season.
Jared, you're in like 20. Are there any others outside of Drew?
I beat this week a guy who was 8-0.
Giant killer.
Yeah, and it was extra satisfying because the guy's team name from the beginning of the season is I won this league by a lot. And so he was 8-0, and I came in 5-3 in second place. All of us in second, third, fourth place are all 6-3, but I've got the most points. But anyway, so I beat him, so I handed him his first loss. But yeah, I have to go back and look. But
he's probably still gonna beat everybody, but by a lot.
He's probably gonna finish in first place. I mean, he could lose in the first round of the playoffs and, not win any money. Anyway, but I looked, I think maybe a month or so into the season, and there weren't many undefeated teams in there. I'll have to go back. I'll go back and look through for our broadcast Saturday or whenever to see if there's any other teams, but Drew might be the only one left. Yeah.
I think he's another thing I'd like to do by next time is if we could go through and look at the leagues that we're in, I want you to look at the top 3 teams and tell me who are the consistent players, like who are consistently in the top 3 of your leagues, as far as the starting team that team has, the starting, right? The starting guys. I'm tired. But let's look for the most play, the most of the most, how do you say this?
The most commonly owned, or
yes, that's what I was looking for. Most commonly owned in the top two teams of the leagues that you guys are in. Yeah. I think I'm curious to see, especially now, or maybe we should wait a little bit to let the King Henry shock sink in, but because I think for the most part, King Henry was in all the top. The top teams of the leagues I saw.
Yeah, I feel like two other ones might be Mike Williams and Cooper Kupp, just off the top of my head. Cooper Kupp better win Offensive Player of the Year. He already has 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
The man is a robot. He's a Terminator. Matthew Stafford showed up, and then all of a sudden he went from a very good wide receiver to the best statistically in football.
All right, guys. Well, that does it. Let's come back with some ideas for that. Until then,
hey!
No, you almost missed us, Ryan.
What's up, dude?
But so you get to see our outro.
Really quick, Ryan. Before we go, Judah Buddha, I know that you are the biggest Odell fan in the world. The biggest non-Giants Odell fan in the world. And I know it probably breaks your heart that he's been traded. But good news, all of his jerseys are now on sale at NFL Shop. Right there for you.
And I did just look while we were talking here, and there's a handful, maybe 4 or 5 teams that are like 8-1 out of all my leagues. Out of my 21 leagues, but Drew is the only 9-0 team.
Wow,
Drew Vano, you escaped my clutches this week. Yeah,
dang.
Oh well, Ryan. He probably will.
He escaped your clutches by 20 points.
Yeah, my amazing team.
And
Khalil Herbert almost beat you with his 0.1 points.
Which I know Anthony is talking about how we've got that week 12 just incredible showdown between him and Drew Vano. But Drew Vano's got to go through the blizzard first of the Ice Rink Falcons this week. The least deserving 5th place team in the history of the world. We have a 28% chance to win, and Chase Edmonds is out, and Devontae Booker's on bye. But we still have faith. It doesn't matter if Stafford's questionable. It doesn't matter if Miles Sanders is on IR. We don't give up.
It amazes me that AJ's team has 700 points, by far the fewest in the league, and yet he has as many wins as me and Judah combined.
Fantasy football, folks.
Yeah, good luck, Ryan. We're looking forward to playing you, but I got a Drew Vano to fight first.
All right, guys. Let's all go fight those Juvanos in our lives. I got nothing. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.
See you guys later.